What happens if TikTok gets banned in the US? How's it going to impact mortgage brokers? Where do you go if TikTok's banned? And the number one tactic or strategy you should be thinking about if you're using social to build your mortgage business. Hey, I'm Scott Beckford. This is the I Love Mortgage Brokering podcast. And every week I produce a podcast with the goal of making it super useful for you as a mortgage broker. And this week I want to talk about what's happening with TikTok. And if you want to find out more about what I'm up to, you can go to ilovemortgagebrokering.com or you can go to ybricks.com. In any case, let's jump right into it. So as you probably heard, TikTok is looking like it might be banned in the US if it doesn't change ownership. There's some, I'm not going to get political on this podcast, but there's some thought that possibly the Chinese government has influence over TikTok, or they certainly can ask for any of the data at any time. And so that's led the US Congress to put a bill forward to say, hey, maybe we should ban this in the US. All that, okay, whatever's going to happen. Is it going to happen in Canada? Who knows? Does it really matter? Probably not. But here's the reason I want to talk about this. It's actually a topic that it matters, because here's the thing I want you to think about. You actually don't own your social media content. You are a renter. They are the landlord. Facebook's the landlord. Instagram's the landlord. TikTok's the landlord. And so you can spend all this time and energy building up your platform, learning the algorithm, getting all the tricks of the trade, only to have the thing wiped out in a second. And it could be for something like this that is outside of everyone's control, which is there's government, changes happening. So that could happen. The other thing that can happen is you can have your account hacked. So my ex, she had an Instagram account with 45,000 followers. Her admin inadvertently clicked on a link that looked like, hey, let's collaborate. And in it was like, oh, you need to re-log into Instagram to connect. And they actually stole her login credentials and then held it hostage and said, we're not going to give it back unless you give us money. I thought, this is ridiculous. There's no way that you won't get back an account of 45,000 people. It's very easy to prove that she owned it. Well, by the time she got the account back, it was at zero. So that would have, and she sold sourdough online, that would have absolutely nuked her business, except she happened to have a 14,000 person email list. Maybe it was more, actually. I don't know if it was 20 years. It was a big number. It was a large number of emails of people, sourdough enthusiasts, and she was able to rebuild her account and she was able to keep her business going. So the reason I say this about this whole TikTok thing is that whether you're on Instagram, whether you're on any of these platforms, they're fantastic. I believe the social accounts, and I'm late to the game. I've been in podcasting for over a decade, love podcasting. I'm very late to the game when it comes to social. Realize that I kind of snoozed on this one. Should have done it sooner. That's okay. I'm doing it now. But the thing is that you don't own the account. And so then I believe that a couple things. First, if TikTok gets banned in the US and Canada, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But the things I would think about personally, if I was a creator using that platform, the ones I like, this is just my own personal opinion, I like Instagram and I like YouTube Shorts. The reason I like Instagram is because people can DM you. There's one thing as a mortgage broker, we're not just creating content for the sake of content. We're creating content for conversations. At least that's what it should be. It should be, I create content that connects with the community, that leads to communications. Hey, that's 3 C's. I never thought of that before. So content creates a community, leads to conversations, that leads to conversions, right? That leads into some of these customers, and then eventually leads to cash. There's actually 5 C's there. So man, I don't know where that came from. It must be my caffeine is working really well today. So in any case, I would think about those things in terms of if you're a TikTok user. I use it, but I don't even go on there hardly at all. I post on there, but frankly, my reach is anemic on that platform. And I know people that have built large platforms. Good for you. If it happens to go away, like any platform can go away, whether it's because of government changes, because of algorithm changes, even if you have a big platform, your reach can go down. They can change the algorithm so that hardly any of your people see your stuff. And so you are a renter. You are not the landlord. And and it's the kind of renter where they don't have the, like in Canada anyway, we have significant rights for renters and versus landlords. You have none of those rights when you are renting social space on someone else's platform. And so what I love is there's this guy, Sharon Savista, who's the president of Real Brokerage, which is the fastest growing real estate company in Canada, or no, in the world, actually, not Canada. We're fastest growing real estate brokerage in the world. And I had him on my podcast. You can go back and check that out on I Love Mortgage Brokering. Fantastic episode. And one thing he said in that episode that I loved was everything is in service of the email list. And so all the content that he creates is to create community, connection, conversion. But ultimately, he's trying to get people to get to his email list because that's something you can at least control. And yes, they can put filters and they can block you. But my own personal experience has been that whenever I have a something that I want to promote, email is 80% of the reach that I get. And I have a 10,000 person Facebook group. I've got this podcast. But still email at the end of the day because it goes, oh, that's interesting. I want to check that out. So if you're a mortgage broker and you're using TikTok or Instagram or these other things, I want you to think about how do I build my email list? And then if you have an email list, then I think that I'll do an episode on this in the future. My focus on email now is not on open rate even, it's click-through rate. Am I sending people stuff they actually want to look at? Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, cool, I got an open rate or whatever, but I want to send them things that are useful. And so, my target is a 5% click-through rate, which is insane, but it's actually, and we've had some of my newsletters have gone out. We do this Thursday email that I send out. Some of them have gotten as close to that, but 5% is what I'm kind of aiming at by the end of the year by making that content really useful. And at the end of the day, if your content's useful, it's going to win. And so the last thing I'd say to this is that, so quick recap, TikTok might be going away in the US. Maybe it happens in Canada. Doesn't really matter, because if you're a smart mortgage broker, any of these platforms can go away at a blink. And so that you have to be playing the game of make sure that you're building a email list. Everything's in service of the email list. I also like, as I said, Instagram and YouTube Shorts would be two places that I would look at if that did go away for mortgage brokers. And then finally, the most, I read this several years ago, but useful is the new cool. If you make something useful, people are going to use it. They're going to consume it. They're going to share it. And so even on platforms that get suppressed, and so put more energy into creating things that are useful. And I believe people will want to share it. Your audience will want to share it. It's going to create more conversations. It's create more conversions, build a community, conversions, and ultimately put cash in your pocket. So thanks for listening to this. And hopefully you found this useful. And let's see what happens with this whole TikTok thing in the coming weeks, if it actually gets banned or if it's just a temporary thing or if it gets sold. Who knows what's going to happen, but it doesn't really matter. It's not my strategy isn't changing whether TikTok is here tomorrow or not, because I am all about building that email list. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm Scott Peckford. This is the short episode I put out every Friday. And hopefully you found this useful. If so, a couple things. One, go give me a follow on social. I'm trying to build up my social account. As I said, I'm a little late to the game on that. Two, if you click on my social account, you can get on my email list. And our goal is to create the most useful email for mortgage brokers in the industry. And so you can get on there and check it. Next, you can even rate my email. So at the bottom of the email, you can be like, this email was good. This email sucked. This email was okay. And if you are on my email list, please do that. It gives me feedback. It helps me know, okay, are these emails working? Because we put a lot of work into making them useful for you. And last thing I'd say is useful is the new cool. Whatever content you're creating, try to make it useful. And I think you're going to get a lot more engagement and you're going to get a lot more conversations. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next episode.